Welcome. Good morning. If you're watching live, and just welcome to another New Spurs Order podcast under the Touchline Fracker banner. I'll be your host, X-Pac, aka Owen. Joined by a special guest today, or two special guests, you could say. But first up, we've got Harry Scarf. Harry, how you doing?
No, I'm very good, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. Really looking forward to getting into it. All things Tottenham. It's been a lot of talk. Obviously, the title about Timo Werner has been a lot of conversation about that. But looking forward to getting into it.
Just a lot of conversation in general, it sounds like. If you wanted to just introduce yourself quickly, I mean, you're part of quite a lot at the moment, especially for your age at the moment. I'm sure everyone's telling around this saying you should just be doing your GCSEs or something, but all the hate aside,
you should.
If you just want to introduce yourself and just say everything you're a part of, because for really truly it's quite a lot actually.
No, thank you very much. I'm Harry Scarf. I'm a football content creator and YouTuber. I have my own channel, Scarfy Spurs Talk, where we produce Spurs England and Premier League content. I'm part of Spurs Kings TV. I'm also part of Park Lane Podcast. I left the Sunday show, but I've got my own show on there next year, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's where you can find me. Also a football writer for Look Sports Media. So no, it's all good. And I do get a lot of people say that generally. GCSEs coming up, this time next year. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, sure, smash it. And I don't hold the same opinion as well. And Tobes, most people know who you are as well. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I've missed gisting on the pod, man. It's been a crazy busy couple of weeks for me, but I'm very happy to be back. And to be honest, Harry, I can't lie, I got a bone to pick with you, but we'll get into that on the pod.
Sure, you're not the only.
Apologies, obviously, if you're watching live and you can't see Tobes on cam, he's been a very busy man recently, as he's just alluded to. And if you weren't able to see behind the camera like me, you'd see that he probably has a wry smile on his face as he looks to get into.
Very true. You know what? I'm gonna turn my camera on shortly. I just need to put on something a bit more appropriate. Yeah, you lot keep going.
You have to make out like you're making something. You're making it weird. But no, jokes aside, Tottenham, we're getting business done early. So a lot of people lobby criticism at Spurs for not doing their business early enough and etc. So confirmed the re-signing of Timo Werner on loan, as this stream's called, You've Been Werned. Not too much of a reach of a pun. We did have an option to sign him for 16 million euros permanently. We got that changed to 8 million or so for the end of next season. But sign him again on loan. It's been the talk of a lot of debate on the timeline, especially in and around Harry. So Harry, I just want to get your thoughts on it quickly.
I don't see the problem with it. I think that, as you said, fans are always going on about not getting business done early. We do it. There's a loan signing where there's very little, if not no risk involved at all. And we've seen an uproar about it, it's fair to say. And, none of us, I think, will sit here and go that Timo Werner should start every game. I think there's an option to have off the bench when you have Europe and potential injuries. We saw last season how many injuries we've got, and we're put in difficult positions, playing players out of position. All this kind of thing will stop that from happening. And we've just done it early. Doesn't define our transfer window. Should we go out there and also get a top winger? Probably also. I think we should also do that. I think Timo Werner is another option to have off the bench. I don't see the problem for it. It's a loan deal. I get it if he's signed permanently, maybe, in terms of spending 16 million. Even that, I think is worth it. I think that the fans are just trying to find something to moan about because they're bored of football. There's no football.
Disagree.
So find something to moan about.
Completely disagree, Harry, because I don't think people are just waking up and deciding, oh, the sun is out, let me moan about something Spurs related. I completely disagree, right? I completely disagree. And I'll tell you why I completely disagree. We need to get out of this mindset that, because it's a loan signing, it's not that you can't talk about the player because they're not a permanent signing for Tottenham. This guy played a significant amount of minutes last season. The same trope that was banded last season is being banded this summer. Oh, he's only a squad player. We need him to cover. Son's on international duty. Solomon's injured. Oh, he's not going to play that much football. He ended up playing a significant amount of football. So that's the first point last season. Second of all, he is not a good enough player. We need to get out of this vicious cycle of removing players that are not good enough and replacing them with players that might give you a marginal uplift on the player that's not good enough, but is ultimately not good enough. So case in point, last summer, we got rid of Lucas Moura. The whole fan base were unanimously decided on the fact that Lucas Moura categorically was not good enough to play for Tottenham. That opened up space in our team, right? No Europe, go and sign players that can actually come into this team and start. What did we end up doing? We signed Solomon on a free transfer who's played virtually no part in our season outside of the first, 3 or 4 games we had, right? And then we signed Brennan Johnson, a player who everyone can clearly see is not good enough to start for Tottenham and is at best a rotation player in this squad. And these are the guys that we're hanging our hopes on. We now come full circle again, another summer, another big summer, right? Solomon looks like he's on his way out, thank God. I'm trying to remember which other players are leaving. Remind me. Højbjerg looks like he's on his way out. Gil looks like he's on his way out. So we're talking about players that have not played outside of Højbjerg. We're talking about players that are not playing a significant part in Tottenham's campaign that we have already established aren't good enough. So you tell me, what is the merit in replacing these guys with guys that are equally not good enough, like Werned? And when I say not good enough, this is what I mean. He can't score. Yeah, that's proven. He cannot score goals. He's a terrible finisher. He's an unintelligent football player. His crossing is not good enough. This so-called pace that he has, it doesn't really give us much benefit because even when we put him in good positions, we release him. 7 times out of 10, the end result is not what we want. So again, I have to ask, what is the merit in signing players that are not good enough to play for Tottenham for the sake of adding a warm body to the squad? If the case is to bring in players that are going to help us in such a congested campaign, sign better players or promote some of the youth players. You're seeing Mikey Moore rip it up for under 17s. Why am I having to watch Timo Werner again next season? We've already established this guy's not good enough. What is he going to add to our team apart from literally a physical body, right? What's he going to add to our team apart from being a warm body on the bench that we're missing? Honestly, like that's not even me attacking you. Just genuinely tell me, what do you think that he brings to the squad that we don't have? Tell me.
I think you make a very good point. And firstly, with youth, I think that we should see a chance. I was thinking to myself the other day, they're not getting a chance to get Sheffield United when we've already, going to get Europa League football, whatever happens. So, why aren't the likes of Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly coming on early? Why aren't they starting the game? So I totally agree with you on that. So I don't see how they're going to get into that first team and start regularly. Someone like Scarlett, for me, I would have given a run of 5-6 games starting. When Richarlison was out, I would have gone with that, kept Son on the left. So I agree with you on that. With Timo Werner, I think it's difficult. I think he's a player because listen, fans have this perception in their head that he's getting older and he's getting worse. With Timo Werner, I think it's the opposite. I think he gets better as he goes on. He gains experience and know-how, and I thought he was really good last season. But maybe that's just me. But I'm not one of those fans that goes, we should just say Timo Werner. I think another player should come in as well.
Harry, apologies, but on this pod, we like to challenge, right? So if I come off as challenging, please don't be offended. This is just what we do on this pod. I'm gonna challenge you on what you just said. You just said he's getting better. How is he getting better? This is a guy how many league goals did he score last season? He literally scored about 4 or 5 league goals across Leipzig and Tottenham combined. That's literally his worst ever output. That's his worst ever output in a season. So this is a guy who categorically is not getting better. This is Timo Werner's base level right now. So when you say this is a guy who's getting better and better, it's not showing on the pitch. And we're not talking about a spring chicken. We're talking about a guy who's meant to be in the prime years of his career, but he's been shipped off from Chelsea to Leipzig because he wasn't good enough. He can't even get into Leipzig's team. And this is Leipzig without any superstars per se. Yeah, they got Xavi Simons and Dani Olmo. Those are the starters, fine. And they got Sesko. But this is a Leipzig team that were playing in European competition as well and also playing in the Bundesliga. And he still couldn't get minutes. He's still, the manager still couldn't play.
I get that. Look how well
So
he's done
so
though in his first spell at Leipzig, which attracted Chelsea. But the mistake that Chelsea make was they put all the pressure on him as a number 9, whereas he should have been someone to compete with Werner. I think Man United done it with Højlund, where they put the responsibility on one player and it's affected the player. But I think the majority of the first half of the season, he was out. And based on performances, I think he's one of our best players. And I generally mean that since January.
No, he wasn't.
I think he's been involved in a lot of goals.
He absolutely wasn't one of our...
We just didn't use him enough.
Harry.
We're hearing that Ange wanted him, so a lot of fans are back, and that is back in the
I'll be honest. I don't give a monkeys if Ange wanted him. We've already established that Ange. Right? If you look at his offensive signings last summer, they were not good enough. Look at all the offensive players that we brought in last summer that supposedly Ange wanted. None of them hit the mark. Not a single attacker hit the mark. The best of the performing attackers was Brennan Johnson, and he is bang average. Sorry, he's average.
No,
he's not good enough to play regularly for Tottenham. So when we talk on someone like Timo Werner, irrespective of whether Ange wants him or not, what we're discussing, that's not what we're discussing. What we're discussing is this guy going to improve Tottenham? Tottenham, we need to get, again, one sec. So my main, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because there is a disgusting systemic issue at Tottenham with lowering the standards to sign mediocre players. And in this case, he's not even mediocre. He's outright poor. If we want to aspire to be a team that wins things, sign players that can get you to that goal. You're not going to see major improvement if you keep trying to plug these holes with these short-term mediocre or downright poor fixes. This isn't even a fix. He doesn't fix anything in this team, right? We established at the end of the season, we need attackers who are creative, who can fashion their own chances, who can score goals. He is none of these things. He literally does not solve a single problem in our attack apart from being a body. And that's my problem. That's my frustration. And that's probably what's causing a lot of Spurs fans who have spoken out against the signing. That's what's causing the frustration, because you're watching this guy play for Tottenham and you're like, how have we watched what we've watched? And we thought to ourselves, yeah, I want another year of that. Sorry, it doesn't work with me. It doesn't fly. He's not good enough to play for Tottenham. And when you say, "Oh yeah, he showed good signs," what good signs? He had maybe a couple of decent games, but for the most part, we saw this guy missing from 2 yards out, struggling to make basic crosses. Unless the move has been programmed by Ange Postecoglou, this guy has no off the cuff brilliance. What does he add to this team? Genuinely, I'm saying this from a place of frustration, because I'm just frustrated with Tottenham continuously refusing to make the necessary upgrades that we need in attack. Last summer, we established that Son and Kulusevski, they were not good enough to be starting week in, week out on the flanks. And I don't mean that Son's not good enough for Tottenham. I meant as wingers. Son experienced his best form for Spurs playing mostly up top, and then he shifted out to the left. But Kulusevski, again, we're at a crossroads this summer. He's not good enough to be playing out on the flanks. We still are waiting for someone to take the mantle of Son on the left-hand side. And I'm meant to be happy that Werner's in. We could sign Mbappe. We could sign Ronaldinho for all I care. Prime Ronaldinho. Tottenham should not be signing players of Timo Werner's caliber as a priority. If you want to be a team that aspires to challenge for things, there are standards that you don't drop below. You would never see Arsenal going out and sign Timo Werner. You would never see Liverpool, even Liverpool with Darwin Núñez and all these lots. You would never see them going out and sign Timo Werner. You're never going to see Man City go out and sign Timo Werner. None of the top teams in Europe will go out and sign Timo Werner. So how do we expect to try and position ourselves as one of these top teams? And we're signing players that are counterproductive to our aims. It does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. Sorry, it does not make sense.
There was a time where Liverpool did really want Timo Werner. But
that was years ago, Owen. That was years ago when everyone thought he was good. Even I thought he was good. He came to Chelsea. And your point, sorry, my last point in this. Your point, Harry, about how Chelsea put too much onus on him to be the main man. I don't agree. I don't agree, because it's not true. Chelsea signed a host of attacking players over that period in which Werner was
not
signed.
Number 9, though. The only number 9, registered number 9 was Timo Werner.
That's not true.
afterwards.
That's not true. They literally had Lukaku the year after. Timo Werner was not good enough to play for Chelsea. They tried him through the middle. They tried him on the left. They tried him on the right. They played him damn well everywhere. And the resounding verdict was he is not good enough for us. He misses chances. He's not intelligent. He doesn't have high technical quality. He does not win this team football matches. And if you can't do that as an attacker, what are we doing here?
Was Tammy with Werner in the first season as well?
He was injured until Christmas, though.
He was.
Yeah, fair.
And Kai Havertz was there as well. Kai Havertz was there as well.
Before they knew he could play that role. Yeah.
But he was played in Timo Werner was played in a multitude of positions. I'm sorry, Harry, but I don't buy this narrative that there was too much put on him. And even if there was pressure put on him, of course, you are the big money attacking signing. You're the guy that was bagging the goals. Yeah. You're the guy that was bagging the goals in Leipzig. Of course, there's going to be expectation for you to come in and score goals. It's Chelsea. Of course, he should relish the idea of being the main man at Chelsea. It shouldn't work against him to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're putting this much trust in me." That's what they bought you for.
This is quite funny seeing the comments from all the viewers as well, because I could see a lot of the timeline. In fact, maybe even most of the timeline were actually for. Obviously, not talking about our circle, but I see quite a lot of the timeline that were actually for the Werner signing. And to play devil's advocate a little bit, like I'm reserving most of my judgment on it once we actually finalize our window and we see what we've got in totality. Because I do think that Werner can be useful just in Europe. Like I think his P&P can actually be useful. I don't think he can improve on what he is though.
Shit, man. Let's just that
he's 28. I don't think we even play him. I know Tobes has already said like he's played a bunch of positions, especially for Chelsea, but we don't play him in like his best position. Like his best position tends to be in like a kind of free roam area behind the striker. He'd actually be a pretty decent 4-4-2 type striker, but he's not a winger. If we're not going to play him in his favourite position, I just think he's too limited to be a winger. And maybe he does offer the type of profile that we kind of need, but I feel like we get that from Son anyway. So it's a bit all up in the air, and I'm reserving most of my judgment until we get a last signing.
Sorry, I know I don't want to make it the Toby show as well, right? And Harry, sorry, apologies. I just saw your DM, so I'm more than happy to come on your show.
No, you're fine.
Whenever next season. So we'll chop it up because don't worry. I know we disagree on Werner, but I'm sure there's other things we'll talk about. But this Werner thing as well, and this myth, I'm gonna bust this myth about this P&P. There's no P&P. It's just P. It's just pace. There's no power with this guy. There's no power with Timo Werner. It's just pace. And even with the pace, how many times have we seen him get away from defenders, launched into space, and that gets converted into a goal? Maybe 3 out of 10 times it will probably get converted into a chance. Great. 7 out of 10 times, what's it going to lead to? I'm so sick of hearing that. Oh my God, he can be useful for Spurs. No, he cannot. No, he can't. What we watching? Enough, guys. He's not good enough. It's like if I told you Brian Hill could be useful for Spurs, you could see he's got technical quality. He's probably got more technical quality than Werner, but he's weak. He's slow. He doesn't score goals. He doesn't create goals. So he's not good enough. So if we can call it right with Brian Hill, if we can call it right with Solomon, if we can call it right with Emerson Royale, guys who have actually Emerson Royale, someone who's actually put in more good performances for Spurs than Werner. But we've all established, rightly so, that he's not good enough. Why are we now accepting Timo Werner, even on a short-term basis? Even if he was signed for 5 games, I would still be angry. Because as a principle, Spurs should not be signing crap players. It's counterproductive. It's bad for business. It's literally bad for business. Sorry, it is.
The wages, I don't even think we've said his wages. Yeah, I think Yao has in the comments, but 160k a week. Although we're not paying any kind of loan fee or transfer fee for him, I believe. And obviously got the final price down if we did actually choose to buy him on a permanent. So yeah, maybe from a business standpoint, it looks like and again, we've said this so many times with Spurs, but looks like on paper we're reserving money for something a little bit bigger, whether that be a striker or a left winger. Like, is there any heart taken in that whatsoever? And I'm not trying to antagonize you, Tobes, but yeah, I just think
I was just testing to see if my mic
I don't think it's the worst, although the wages are a bit.
Owen. So is my, first of all, Owen and Harry, is my mic better now? Is it better now?
Maybe a little
not
bit
really.
better. I can't tell.
All right, cool. It's this shit. Now, is that better?
That is. There we go.
Yeah. All right, cool. Sorry, apologies. I don't know. It's this blue Yeti. I think I just need to get a new one now. But so sorry, repeat the question. So you're saying this isn't bad in terms of business?
Would you say you take any heart in it being maybe a slightly better business decision than obviously buying him on a permanent for 8 million or whatever it was?
No,
like,
I
in the
don't.
sense that we're paying no loan fee, there's no transfer fee, and it looks like on paper we're holding out for something a little bit bigger in terms of signing a forward.
No, I don't. Doesn't really make it better for me. I don't care. As I said, we could go out and sign Mbappe for all I cared this summer, and I still wouldn't be happy with that signing at the club, because if we have that signing at the club, that means he's going to play a fair amount of minutes. Nobody can tell me that Werner's only coming in to play 5 minutes of football, 5 games of football next season. He's going to play minutes, and that is the frustrating thing for me. And I've been in this position before where I've made allowances. I can see the player's not good enough. I made the allowance last summer. I knew that Solomon wasn't the guy that we should be signing, right? But I said, all right, fine. Let me not complain. Let me not be Billy. Let me not be bad vibes, because Spurs have signed Maddison, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Let me see what else they got cooking for me in the summer. I've been in that situation before as a Spurs fan, and I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing that same old trope. Oh, yeah, we signed him. He didn't cost that much. He's not that good, but it gives us the money to go and do blah, 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 buy ABC. And then come the end of the window, do we get all we need? Do we even get 80% of what we need? The answer is no. We said this bullshit in fact, 2 summers ago with Longley. Remember Longley? Oh, Longley. Oh, yeah, it's a loan signing. He's not going to be permanent. It gives us the money to go out and sign a proper centre-back towards the end of the window. What happened towards the end of the window? We end up keeping Tanganga. No new centre-back comes in. So I'm just tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of it, right? I'm not even sure if we go out and sign this game-changer left winger, because it's looking like Son is going to be playing left wing next season, and now they sign Werner. So you tell me, yeah, where is this other game-changing winger going to play? Right wing? Where they still want Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson to play? I know Alistair Gold is saying we're still going to sign wingers. I know Dan Kilpatrick saying we're still going to sign wingers. I'm hopeful that we sign a winger. I'm hopeful that we make some more moves. But irrespective, I'm tired of sitting and waiting. Let's wait and see what they do, because we've waited for years and years and years and years and years. And every single time we always get glass half full, glass half empty. Every single time. Every single time it happens. We sold Harry Kane a day before the season started last year. What did we end up with by the end of the window? Brennan Johnson. We needed a starting caliber right winger. We needed another left winger maybe, or a striker. We end up with Brennan Johnson. So excuse me if I'm not satisfied with Spurs saving money, apparently, by paying a terrible player 160k a week who's going to contribute naffle to our season. Sorry, not buying it. Not buying it. I'm not buying it. And even if and this is the thing, even if you didn't want to spend money, there are cheaper players you can go out and get that are better than Timo Werner. That's what I don't understand. We saw a report from Alistair Gold that said the other day, because of the sell-on clause that we have, you could probably get into a position where you could sign a Marcus Edwards for like 9.75 million. Marcus Edwards would, if we look at it, apparently Brennan Johnson was signed for competition for backup because he's young, he's English, and now Werner's been signed for backup. Lord knows why we keep signing backup players when we need starters, but hey ho, if your mandate is really to bolster the squad, sign your backup players in readiness for the first team players, Marcus Edwards would have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. He's homegrown, he used to play for Tottenham, he's young, and he can play on the wing. That's a cheap option you play out wide and rotate. if he's willing to come and be a rotation piece at Spurs. That's a cheap option right there. But no. You go and overpay on an average player in Brennan Johnson, and then you bring in a downright abysmal player in Timo Werner under the guise of loan signing, and you want me to be happy with that. Oh, we saved you money. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with that. Not happy. No mass. Mm-mm.
Fair enough. We might have to have Ange on watch for one of those end of questions on end of podcast questions on the main pod. Harry, is there any kind of left wingers or forwards you've got your eye on for us to side at the moment, potentially upgrade on?
Yeah,
That would
there
satisfy
is.
you in regards to us kind of bringing Werner on loan.
For me, I want to see us focus on the number 9 position first, because I think Richarlison's good and I'd like him for competition, but realistically, he's not going to get you. I like him, but 15, 20 goals this season, love that. So we're going to have to bring in prolific number 9. And people say that Isak's unrealistic, but Newcastle now outside of Europe, because Man United won the FA Cup, they go in the Europa League. Instead, it now means that Newcastle will probably have to sell to bring players in at this moment in time, and the players that will bring them, they won't want to, but the players that bring them the most, revenue and profit will be Bruno Guimaraes and Alexander Isak. It's unlikely, yes, but I think you've got strikers out there, Solanke, Mateta. There are strikers out there, it's just whether we're willing to pay the money. And Tobbs, you mentioned it there in terms of Marcus Edwards. I think that makes sense for me, is with a sell-on clause as well. I think that'd be a great option to have. So we need to, for me, from now to the end of the window, focus on a number 9 and a number 6, because ultimately last season we're not scoring enough and putting teams away, but we're also conceding too many, and that's why we're losing games. So, and I don't think that's really the defence. I think it's the lack of protection the defence gets, and also the lack of creativity. So we need to solve both those problems. And players like, seeing it in the chat, Eze, Elise, for me, we should go all out at Palace. There's a lot of players there that I think that we can get, and now is the time to do it. So there's players that need to come in, of course, and there's a lot of players that need to go out. So I think it'll be a busy summer transfer window, and I think that this is only the start. I get if we don't sign many other people, but I think that we're still in for an exciting summer. I really like Mateta. I think he's very good.
Harry, man, come on, Harry, man, come on.
Yeah,
Harry, I know you're playing for
a lot now.
You got to be. Listen,
No.
We
He's
can't
in
go
great
to
form for
Palace and
Palace.
only get Mateta, to be fair. I really want Eze, personally.
Yeah, for
Exactly.
me it'd be Eze or Elise, but I quite like Mateta if he can't get Isak or Solanke. He's absolutely ripping it up and prove that there's a player there if he plays in the right system.
Harry, man, I'm gonna put this down on age, man, because I feel like you got to give these guys time to prove if their watch is real. Because Mateta, don't get me wrong, he was on absolute smoke on the glass now, and by all means, he might continue to score goals. But
he hasn't done it consistently. I get that. That's why I said Solanke and Isak over him.
Exactly. There are the pool of the sample size of Mateta being good versus Mateta being crap in the Prem is night and day. It's literally like a ratio of 1 to 5, right? For every good game he's had in the Premier League, he's had about 6 or 7 bad games. It's terrible. So Mateta, props, you keep doing your thing at Palace, but if Spurs were to somehow go to Crystal Palace and bring me Mateta, oh my days, I might have to run up to Daniel Levy's house and ask for a bout, honestly.
Yeah. I want to give Harry the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't seen people like Amir Zaki and Michu.
Man.
Like, you have these people who have these like one season wonders, and granted that Mateta did look sick at the end of the season. He won me my FPL league, so I have a soft spot for him. But I need to say, if it was a one-hit wonder I was going for in the striker market, I'd probably go for Guirassy, to be fair. But I'd need
is he actually so he's another one. So let me test this theory with him, right? Is he actually real? Is he legit, that Guirassy guy? Because he went on a mad thing earlier on this season, and then I didn't hear him for like a good 3 or 4 months. So
I didn't hear him either.
Is he
goal record, and I looked at his last kind of 5-6 fixtures in the league. He's still regularly scoring. I think his goal rate just turned into like in and around this like a similar amount of goals per game, whereas at the start of the season it was like 14 in 8 or something stupid. So it just leveled out a little bit, but yeah, for reasons. I mean, Bundesliga is just not a very spoken about league, is it? So we didn't hear as much from him, and then Kane obviously outscored him. So Yeah, maybe because he didn't win the Golden Boot in the end, you didn't hear as much. But his goal record was good. It was something like, without looking at off the top of my head, I think it's in around 28 goals in 33.
So when I look at the striker market is cooked. It's absolutely cooked because you don't really have a plethora of options that are guaranteed to bang, and they're all and the ones.
I just don't think we have the money for like quite a lot of these strikers, which are actually.
No, the reason why I think it's cooked is because I think there's not that many good strikers, which means a lot of teams are competing for the ones that are good, right? And the ones that are good, like you said, the price point is a point that is potentially and almost guaranteed to be too high for Tottenham to pay. So, like, case in point, Solanke is one that's probably divides opinion. Some people want him, some people don't. I actually think he's a good striker. I would not be mad at Solanke being signed by Spurs, but I don't see Tottenham going out and spending what 65 million that Bournemouth will probably demand for Solanke. I think they're going to try and go more economical and try and sign someone that's doing it in a weaker league, maybe like that Jimenez guy. But I don't watch that Jimenez guy. And again, as a rule of thumb, I don't want to see any more attackers from the Eredivisie signed to play for Tottenham. I don't unless they're literally like a unicorn, like as Luis Suarez. I don't want to see any more Eredivisie attackers signed for Tottenham because.
But also, you mentioned there about strikers. There's a lot of teams that are after strikers. Well, that's the problem, and there's not a lot to compete for, as you say. In terms of, Man United need a striker to compete with Højlund. Chelsea need a number 9. Arsenal need a number 9. Tottenham do. You could argue Liverpool do. Newcastle probably will, because I think Callum Wilson would go. There's a lot of teams out there that are looking for number 9s, so there just isn't that many around. And someone like Solanke, as you said, English. Homegrown and doing really well with ball, they will demand a lot. I can't see it happening. I think, as you say, we go for someone in another league, for a lot cheaper. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, I don't think so.
This comment is so jokes because I've literally just said I'm happy. I'd be calm with Solanke, but I don't see Tottenham signing him. Right. So the names that were mentioned, Isak, there's absolutely no chance. I would love Isak, similar to you, Harry. I would absolutely love Isak, but one, I can't see Spurs paying anywhere close to what Newcastle will demand for Isak. And two, with all due respect, as much as I love Tottenham, Isak doesn't want a sideways move. Sorry. Newcastle finished what? 8th? Spurs finished 5th. I get that the trajectory for both teams, apparently, Spurs are on an upward trajectory, fine. But Newcastle have money. They're under the profitability rules, etc., etc. So maybe one or two players might go this summer, but they're not going to shift their price because they have to sell one or two players. They're going to probably bump their price up, if anything, just to make the most of any sale.
But that's why we should act like a big club and pay what Newcastle want, because realistically, I don't believe in this thing that no player doesn't have a price tag or anything like that, because Newcastle, they do have to sell. And if a good offer comes in, I think sadly it'll probably be over 100 million. But I think if we really want, if the board really believe that Ange will succeed, they will know how important in his team a prolific goal scorer is. We go out and pay the money. And I've defended the board a lot. You have to spend the cash sometimes. The new stadium said it would change things. When is this? When we spent money, the recruitment's been poor, so we need to get it right, and we have to spend the money in key positions like a number 6 and like a number 9. It has to be done. There's no
fully agree, Harry.
Getting around that. It just has to happen.
Fully agree, Harry. Can I call you Hazard? Yeah, fully agree, Hazard.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm literally we're singing from the same hymn sheet, but again, just like I'm not surprised with signings at Timo Werner, I'm not surprised that Spurs are going to basically price themselves out of a move for Isak. He's not coming to Tottenham. If Isak came to Tottenham, genuinely, I would be the most shocked person on the planet, because that price point, Tottenham are not going to pay it, right? When we've had the opportunity to sign top players that cost a significant amount of money, we've always passed it up. So for me, I would love Isak, but I can't see it. I think we need to, if we can't get Isak though, right? Because they're saying they don't want to pay 120 million or whatever. Okay, not happy, but I can somewhat understand that it's a significant outlay, and you wanna really bolster the rest of your team. Cool, but then go out and sign someone who's actually capable of at least scoring 15 to 18 league goals. Give us that, right? And I know Richarlison scored 11. Like, everyone knows on this pod that I like Richarlison as a person, but Richarlison's not good enough to play for Tottenham as a starter. He's not good enough, and I'll say that straight. He's not good enough, and he probably needs to be moved on this summer. He's too injury prone, and he doesn't have the all round package that we're looking for in a striker. So if we can sell him this summer, I want to see Spurs. If Solanke is the guy that you say you want to go out and get, maybe go out and spend the money on him. There's Xerxes out there. Go out and Sesko. There are strikers out there that may not be as good as Isak, but they're good strikers. They're young strikers, or at the very least, they're well-rounded strikers. I think Spurs should lead with technical quality above everything else. We've discussed this a million times in our new Spurs order chat. Lead with technical quality, right? Let that be the base for your striker. I think the goals, as long as you can find someone who's a decent goal scorer, but they've got the technical balance to boot, I think we'll be in a relatively good spot. But as a minimum, in that striker department, Spurs should be looking to spend minimum £60 million. If you're not willing to spend around 60, maybe 50 to 60 million pounds, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere, in my opinion. You're going nowhere.
So yeah, even though they are probably like there could even be an opportunity for Spurs to be quite clever. Like last summer, Openda went for a relatively low fee. Marcus Thuram was free, and in hindsight, that would have been perfect. Again, that's hindsight though. You've got Xerxes, like you just said, Tobes. Like that's a 40 million release clause. Vlahovic, somewhat realistic because Juventus are just scummy.
It's a good shout.
Go and put 65 million quid in Juventus's face. Say, I want Vlahovic. See what they say. If not, bid 70 million. Go and get us strikers who can actually bag, and I've got the technical quality.
Yeah, Vlahovic would be sick. He would be sick. Is there any other names that kind of stand out?
No,
someone
really.
who can be dynamic at the same time. I don't think we're getting the Pender now. Gaio Perez at Sporting. I think that would be 100 million. Like we spoke about earlier as well, like Marcus Edwards could be available for this much. Like there's no way Sporting are accepting any kind of offer from us with that clause there, unless it's massive, and we're not going to spend massive money on Marcus Edwards. So I don't think that's even an option, to be honest.
What about because I've not watched him in depth, but I know he had a really good season. But I don't know whether it's a flash in the pan or he's actually legit. But Dubnik or whatever his name is, the Girona striker. I know he did.
Dovbrek. Yeah, Dovbrek.
I know he did quite well. He did quite well for Girona this season. But I don't know. Like we just need, bro. You can see what we've got. Go on. Sorry.
No, I was just acknowledging that as an option.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like, there's the thing is, I get it. Like, it's a scarce market, but there's options out there if Tottenham are willing to spend. Like, I won't actually persecute the club for not signing Isak because I know that that's a 100 to 120 million signing, and I would love it. I'm frustrated that the club aren't willing to spend that money, but that does not make or break Tottenham's season at this point in time.
No,
what will make or break our season is not willing to spend 60, 70 million on a good striker or a quality number 6 or a quality winger, right? Because that's how much they're going to cost. So the ball's in your court, Tottenham. I would much rather see 3 or 4 30 players that are ready to start coming that cost around 200 million to 230 million than see 7 or 8 players that cost me 108 million, and 4 of them aren't good enough. 3 of them are decent, and only 1 is a guaranteed starter. Need to get away from those type of windows, in my opinion. We have to.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for us now is I do think we'll spend a very decent to good amount of money as long as we sell well. And Ange, to be fair to him, has done a decent job in just keeping the kind of fringe players stock quite high. Like there seems to be quite a lot of interest in Emerson Royale and Højbjerg and some of these players, and we can get decent money for these players. Lo Celso, even though he's made out of glass, has some good performances this season. So,
is it worth us tallying this up? Because I've been thinking about it.
I was like, okay, minimum fees for some of these players, and if we don't sell Richarlison, that limits money. And this is minimum. Like if we get 15 for Højbjerg or 15 for Emerson, 10 for Lo Celso, this is bare minimum. And some of the others like Rodon, I expect to go. Tangenga's already gone. Spence probably going, Hill probably going. I'm thinking this should, even with the minimum fees, be in and around 60 to 70.
I agree. I'm looking at the match now. I said the same thing for Højbjerg. I can't see Højbjerg for leaving for anything less than 15 million. I think that's a fair. So I literally said 15 million for Højbjerg. I'd say probably 15 to 20 for Emerson Royal because he's younger. He's got more years on his contract.
Yep.
So let's just say 15 for both each. That's 30 million. I agree. 10 million for Rodon. I think he's impressed in the championship. So I think you can fetch that for him. English or homegrown, sorry. So that's 40 million. Who else do we have? Regulon. I think we can get.
Forgetting about Regulon, he should be.
Yeah, I think we can get 10 to 15 million for Regulon. Surely. So then, if we say 40 million for Emerson, Rodon, and Højbjerg, 10 to 15 million for Regulon. Let's just say 10 because for whatever reason, teams don't want to pay it. I think maybe it's because of these wages. Right, but 10 million. Let's just say 10 million, and I think that's a steal for Regulon in my opinion. But 10 million for Regulon, that's 50 million now that we've got across 4 players. Lo Celso, surely we can get 50 million pounds. Like he's proven that he can play. He's just his injury. 50 million quid, surely we can get for Lo Celso. Surely,
I think so.
Surely,
50 million euros, maybe. But yeah, even so, that's
I'm not gonna lie. From what I saw with Lo Celso this season, and I don't rate Lo Celso, 12. Let's just say 12 million quid for him. I think that's a bit of a steal, you know.
If he can, it is if he can stay relatively injury free.
Okay, so let's.
So
we said 50 million for all of those players before Lo Celso. Let's just say, all right, fine. Let's say we're scratching bottom of the barrel. Let's say we're scratching bottom of the barrel for Lo Celso. Let's say 12 million for Lo Celso. So 50 plus 12, that's 62 million pounds, right? So that's 62 million pounds to Lo Celso, Højbjerg, Emerson, Rodon.
And if I add Hill and Rodon to that list, I'm in
around
5 at the moment. So
Hill will probably we're not going to get anything sizable for Hill. Maybe 6-7 million, maybe. So that's 62 plus 6, 68 plus Hill. Who else is there? Solomon,
5.
I'd say maybe like 7, probably 7 million.
All right. Yeah,
68
so around 80 million now. Anyway.
Yeah, 68 plus 7, that's 75 million. Who else is there? And the problem is we're looking at this as like players that will move permanently this summer. We know obviously that's not how it works. We know that some players will move on loan, etc. But generally speaking, if Spurs were willing to go to the lowest, which I think we have to this summer, just to get these players out the door, then this is what we'll do.
That's another loan.
How much do you think he goes for, Harry, or is it just a loan?
I'm not sure. I really don't know because he hasn't. I find it difficult with Ndombele. I think that we won't get a lot for him. I don't really know how low we're looking. I'm thinking between 15 and 20 million. To be honest, I think that we can, if we're lucky, hold out. I think it'd be a substantial loss and a poor buy overall.
I think this depresses the hell out of me, but I don't even think we get that at this point.
Same. I think it's literally like you'll do well to get like 10 million, in my opinion, right now. He doesn't play. He's lazy, according to coaches, right? He doesn't press. He's not offering enough off the ball, and the quality on the ball is not consistent enough for teams to warrant paying 20 million for Ndom. It's sad that it's got to this, but he's basically a footnote at Tottenham. Like he's just a nothing player right now at Tottenham, and it's sad to say, but he is. And I feel like his stock is so low, he can't even get games at Galatasaray. And I know they won the league now, so I'm not saying it like Galatasaray has some crap club, like they're a big club in Turkey, but you can't even stand out in a league where you're meant to be like one of the best technical players. So yeah, man, I can't see us getting anything.
Jed Spence as well. People like Jed Spence.
He's an interesting one because I don't know how he's got on at Genoa.
He's done okay. Apparently, they want him permanently, but don't want to pay the money.
Yeah, because they got no money. That's the thing. They got no money.
Most European clubs don't.
Yeah, they got no money. So I'm surprised no English teams are going in for Jet Spence, because I'm looking at teams like Crystal Palace. I'm surprised they've not taken a punt on him, like 8-9 million, maybe even 10 million. Like, I feel like he would do a job for them. I feel like he would do a job for a fair amount of Premier League teams.
So a permanent transfer for him brings us close to 90 million as well, if he was to go on permanent. So I'm not getting my hopes up whatsoever. I'm still expecting it and hoping. If it gets to 70 million in player sales, I'm happy. It should ideally be more, but if it gets to that, I'm satisfied, to be honest. Skip apparently wants to leave as well, as Liam says. Yeah, I don't think we'll let him leave though, because of the whole club train thing.
Agreed.
But yeah, that puts us into 90 million plus, and apparently Skip's keen to leave as well. So who knows what will happen there? There's lots of moving pieces as well that can move around, especially in that sixth market. That apparently Munich want Adam Wharton. Maybe Skip could go to Palace. I think they'll just probably go back to the Championship. But obviously, with the player sales covered, we need to bring in probably a rotation right back. Ideally, someone that can play both. But a number 6 or an 8, we obviously have a preference for a 6. A winger and a striker. So who would be the kind of midfield options for you? Because I'm looking at a 6 option in the terms of like that's Wiffer maybe, who I've just only done research on yesterday. I like the look of Hayden Hackney a lot, but very different profile, even though they play the same position to Wiffer. With Hackney, he's more of like a carrier. Wiffer, I love how good of a switch he's got on him. He seems to be better in kind of his defensive actions than Hackney as well. But I do like as well that Hackney's just that bit younger. He's played in English football. He's been under the tutelage of Michael Carrick. So that's kind of winning it for me, because I think a Championship to Premiership move is probably more suited than an Eredivisie to Premiership move. So I'd slightly lean towards Hackney. I'd love Eze, and I would be very satisfied with Solanke, but I would love Xerxes as well. So yeah, who are kind of like the 6 options or kind of midfield options for you, Harry?
For me, again, and I talk about spending the money, and as I said, I do often defend the ball, but this is the window where you go, you with Ange Postecoglou, it's not going to work. You're in the middle with kind of getting by with rotational players. You're going to have to go out your way and spend more. I think his system requires top players in a lot of departments. Protecting defence and scoring goals. So for the number 6, I look at João Palhinha for Fulham, who apparently is happy now, but obviously we knew not that long ago he wasn't happy, wanted to go to Bayern, and he just does everything for me. He's a ball-carrying midfielder, so he suits the system. He protects the defence. Occasionally gets a yellow, yes, but he gets stuck in, and there's that no-nonsense part of him. And I think really, he's one of the best in the business. He would be available. It would be quite a bit. I don't think he's got that long left on his Fulham contract. Whether they offer him a new deal or not this summer, I don't know. I think we should be keeping an eye on that, certainly. There's not that many out there. He's one that comes to me straight away. Obviously, you get the likes of Adam Wharton, but I don't think that'll happen. You mentioned Bayern Munich there. I think that could potentially happen. I think maybe actually go to Man United to replace Casemiro. So I think he'd be looking for a big move as well, Adam Wharton. But Palhinha's one that always sticks out to me.
Just to interject just a little bit, he turns 29 in July.
Mm-hmm.
Just for added context.
I can't see Spurs going. The thing is, I'm not really fussed on age. If the player's 30, he's 30, and I really like the look of Palhinha. I would not complain at Palhinha being signed. However, I do think there is merit in signing someone who is younger, a bit more dynamic, and has got more scope to help this team long term. I just think, again, like the striker position, the number 6 position is highly coveted, and it's underpopulated with good players, like really, really good players. So I'm looking at the options. Like, people are saying Onana, not for me. Like, I don't think he's a bad player, but he just, from what I've seen at Everton, he doesn't have the quality that lets Spurs build from the back, in my opinion, at this point in time in his career. One sec, someone's knocking at my door. Apologies.
But yeah, I was just thinking, is there any other names you were thinking of in and around that, or could even
Yeah, no,
continue what
there
he said,
isn't.
or is there any
Yeah, there isn't
rebuttal to what Toad
many.
just said?
But I think Paulinho, obviously, there is older. But I just look at this team, Owen, and I think he lacks experience and know-how. And I think we need players that will get stuck in and will turn us into this top team competitive. And Paulinho will do that. He still has, for
We
me, a
definitely need
really, really.
someone that can protect the defense.
He needs somebody to protect the defence, and Paulinho will do that. And people think, 29. But I look at, you've got players like Thiago Silva, who are just so good and can keep going for longer than expected. Paulinho strikes me as one of those players who will still be doing it in 6-7 years' time at a very top level. So I think that for me, he'd be very key. But there isn't certainly a lot out there, and this is an unpopular opinion, but I would shift Basuma this summer and take the money. He's just been too inconsistent for me. He started off really well, and I never thought I'd say this. But we just, in Ange's system, you can't be wanting to go to the next level, close the gap to the best teams in England, which I think we're a long way away, by the way, and compete for trophies when you've got a player that is only going to turn up for 10, 12 games a season. Has been called out by his national team coach. He's just, for me, too inconsistent. There's a problem there. I don't know what. I'd like to see it work. We've done it at Brighton as well. Dips in and out of form. And we just.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, Harry. Basuma has clearly proven that he's got the quality to play for this team. What he has also proven, to your point, is he's not a guy who you can hang your hat on. 38 out of 38 Premier League games, I agree. But Spurs should not be looking, in my opinion, right now to sell players like Basuma, because they're one of the few players in the team that actually have technical quality to play in their desired role. And again, Harry, I'm a bit mystified that you're saying that we should sell Basuma, but you are welcoming the signing of Werner. You're talking about consistency. What consistency does someone like Timo Werner give us in comparison to Basuma? So I get your point.
I know what you mean, but differences with Werner, I'm looking to someone who can impact a game, whereas I'm looking at Basuma as a regular starter. I wouldn't want Werner to play every game. I made that very clear. I think he's an option to have.
But the thing is, we've established that Basuma may not be the dead cert regular starter week in, week out, but there's a big jump between him being that versus him not being good enough in totality for Tottenham. And I think the latter, in my opinion, isn't true. I think he is good enough to play for Tottenham. I think he is good enough to come in and play in rotation. Let's not forget, he's not a natural number 6. Yes, I'm disappointed, extremely disappointed in how his season ended, right? But at the very least, we all know that this is a good player here. So I don't think it makes any sense this summer in Tottenham selling him. I think what Tottenham need to be doing is what we're asking in attack, in defense. Bring players who aren't just going to come in and just be side by side. Bring players who are going to come in and push our starters into bench players, because that's the only way we improve as a side. If we had Basuma being a rotation piece as opposed to being week in, week out, and we had the other guy that we could hang our hopes on, that's a much different and much better proposition.
Basuma settle for that? I don't think Basuma will settle for that.
He has no choice. He has no choice, and he has no choice because.
What do you value him at though, in terms of price? Because we could get a substantial offer that comes in. What would you I find it hard to price tag someone like Basuma who's dipped in and out of form.
No, but Basuma's not the first player to dip in and out of form. Like, it's very common with Premier League players. It's very common with Premier League midfielders. Like, he's still a good player. He would walk into several sides in the Premier League. The problem is he's not as consistent enough as some of the leading players in his position in the league. And it's annoying for us. It's frustrating for us, but he's not a bad player. If I had to put a valuation on Basuma, how old is he now? What, like 28 years old? 28?
So, say Saudi come in for 40 million.
Yeah.
Saudi. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's worth around 40 million, in my opinion, Basuma. Yeah.
Would you sell?
I think he's worth. Would I sell him?
If Saudi came in 40 million. Because we have speculated about selling him in the chat as well, to be fair.
It depends on who comes in, because I honestly, I'm not opposed to selling Basuma under proviso that you're actually going to go out and sign a bad boy DM. If you're going to sign a bad boy DM and you're going to tell me that there's another one coming in to compete with Basuma, fine. But if you're selling Basuma and you're bringing me Onana, sorry, I'm not happy with that. Not happy with that.
You bring in, fair enough. And I take it you'd be willing to sell Basuma if it meant bringing in João Palhinha. Harry?
Not necessarily,
Absolutely,
no,
yeah.
because I think whatever we do this summer, we should be doing it to add to Basuma, right? If we're going to play in European competition, we want someone who's actually given us some comfort in that number 6 position. Basuma may not be able to do it regularly, but that doesn't mean that we should sell him this summer. I think we need to be looking to bring in someone to replace him as a starter in this team. If you had a nailed-on starter and you had Basuma, there's going to be a lot of football next season because of the European competition. So Basuma's going to play a lot of games. So I don't think he's going to be in a position where he's going to be frustrated about the football. But because as we've seen with Ange, for whatever reason, in 2024, he can't nail down a consistent starting free midfield. So I imagine that it's going to be a lot of chopping and changing especially in the European competitions next year. We're just saying that he's not the guy. He's not the guy, and that's okay.
Fair enough. Well, this has been a pretty electric podcast, to be honest. We'll sign off now. Obviously, Tobes, you've got somewhere to be. Harry, I've already kept you longer than I said I would. So,
That's all right.
Again, thank you for coming on. I think it was good to address everything that had been going on the timeline at the moment. Was there anything else you wanted to say to that, by the way?
No, just rather than, I think that everyone's entitled to their Werned opinion. Obviously, if people haven't seen that, there's been a lot with me going on recently with another channel, and I think that some of it is blown up a bit. But I think we're seeing, hopefully seeing the back of that. But no, thank you for everyone who's sent me kind messages and support me through that. But thank you very much also, Owen, for having me on. It's been really good.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming on as well. Tobes, thank you for joining us while you're about to head away on another work trip. It's all good. And obviously, thank you to everyone that's been viewing or is still viewing. Obviously, quite a lot of you. I think this might even be a new record for us. So, no, thank you to everyone who's viewing. Thank you to everyone who's commenting as well. It's been hard to keep up with all of them, but yeah, all the interaction is all good. But yeah, catch our streams. Furthermore, kind of every Thursday, Friday, or even Saturday morning. Just look out for the notifications at New Spurs Order on X. We got clips coming out on TikTok and Instagram. Some Patreon content probably coming soon. And but yeah, for now, peace out, everyone. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon, Harry. Peace.
Cheers, Harry.
Thank you.